Welcome to Dreams of Wings, and welcome here to Compton Abbas, and welcome to the splendiferous A2A simulations Accu-sim Comanche, which is an aircraft that we've not had on the channel for some time. And considering this is almost certainly going to be the first aircraft that A2A produced for Microsoft Flight Simulator, I thought it would be a great time to dust it off in P3D and give it another flight, because it is a beautiful aircraft. In P3D for general aviation, I tend to fly the A2A V35B Bonanza VTEL, which I fly for Andres Meridian Airlines, my VA. But the Comanche, this particular Comanche you're seeing here, is actually the Comanche that is in the real world, owned by Scott, who runs and owns A2A. This is his personal aircraft, and this is an aircraft that he brought to the sim. So you can kind of understand that the experience and expertise that he's got of the real thing has been brought through to the simulator here. And I just thought it would be interesting as a break from all the Microsoft Flight Simulator videos that I've been doing recently to go back into P3D and to go back to what is probably one of the purest forms of flight simulation that you can have at home, which is something like this A2A Accu-sim Comanche. So we're going to do a very simple flight. We're going to take her up and fly over to Exeter, land there, and just get a feel for Accu-sim again and give you an idea of what it's about. Right, okay, so bit of an interesting experiment. Here we are in the beautiful cockpit of the Comanche. Absolutely tons of atmosphere in here. This is what Scott's aeroplane looks like from the inside. Quite an interesting colorway. Beautiful, beautiful aeroplane. So considering the fact that I've hardly flown this in P3D version 5, and I've certainly not flown it for a long time, and let's not forget the fact that this is Accu-sim, I could get my backside handed to me on a plate because things might not have been maintained properly and all that sort of thing. So this is going to be as interesting for me as it is for you. So first of all, let's get rid of a few things. Let's just pop outside. Let's get rid of the tie downs and the wheel chocks there. We'll also get rid of the, hello, press the wrong button, pitot cover. We can keep the door open. You can also do that from the door itself, but we did that by accident, so that's the first mistake. So as with a lot of Accu-sim aircraft, you've got all sorts of different menus. We have this menu here, which is the one I was just using, where we can change various different controls. We can set cold and dark. We could do an auto start if we want to. We can, if you can switch auto cold and dark off. You can change volumes, all sorts of bits and bobs that you can do here. That's the Shift 3, then we've got Shift 4, which is the payload manager. You can add passengers, you can add fuel. We're going to add some fuel here actually while I'm at it. Don't need too much. We can add fuel to the tip tanks. Gotta love a tip tank. Yeah, bits and bobs and passengers. We'll add a passenger, why not? I'm used to flying with passengers in the GA. There we go. Right, so that's that menu. Then we've got a map and various different things that we can add on to here. We can add our airways and that kind of thing. I personally don't use this because I tend to use a little nav map, or I use the GPS, but that's an option that's there. We've got the radio menu where we can change our frequencies and that kind of thing, which is quite a quick, handy thing. Again, I tend to use the controls in the cockpit. That's just me. And then we have the maintenance hangar. This is where you find out if you've been a naughty boy and left it for too long. So interesting, it's saying general condition runs smooth. As you can see in P3D version 5, I've not really done a great deal with it because I do tend to fly the Bonanza VTEL most of the time. You know, it's looking pretty good at the moment. We'll see how she starts. Do a quick compression test. If there was anything wrong here, then we'd be looking at these indicators here. They'd be amber if it's kind of like a warning, or red if it was actually completely broken. So I'm going to do a quick swap on the cylinders, do a quick compression test again, and we've got some improvement there. Okay, and then you can add all these kind of things. I've actually got them all included, but you can change the what's a good example you'd be able to see? Oh, wrong one. Let's get rid of that. Ooh, there we go. On the tip tanks. Yeah, you can't really see it on there, but this is where we're kind of changing different pieces. Oh, we can change the propeller. You can do that here as well. Change the battery type, change the tire type, and even use soundproofing. So there's plenty in there to kind of make it your aircraft, which is quite interesting. But the main thing is, from doing this, before we started it, everything seems to be pretty good, and we shouldn't have any issues. So let's just quickly get rid of the column, and we'll now close the door. And I will just secure that while we're here. There we go. Right. Okay. Quickly just check my controls against the physical. Yeah, they seem to be doing okay. And the flaps is synced up. Now, one of the things with this aircraft is it does have a 3-stage gear switch here. So we've got an up and a down, and we've also kind of got a neutral. Now I'm using the honeycomb quadrant, which just has a kind of an up and a down on it. So that will be something I will need to have a look at. If memory serves me right, I think I've set one of my joystick switches to be a gear switch, so that when I'm doing this kind of thing, where I've got an aircraft with a 3-position switch, then I can press the button to give me that extra kind of gear input. Chances are I'm probably completely imagining that, and it's probably something that I intended to do but never got around to, but we'll see at the end of the day. Hopefully I can just manually operate the gear switch from there. Right, checklist, which is shift 2. So we've just got a few notes here, which is always great with the A2A aircraft. Gives you some power settings, which is quite handy to have. Gives you the current conditions, which is also quite some useful information, and it gives you some notes as well on the general aircraft handling, which again is quite good. The manuals are always superb. You always get a load of information in there, but this also has got a checklist as well, which helps us a little bit. Because it saves you sort of rustling with bits of paper on your lap and that kind of thing. Okay, so the pre-flight is complete. You know, I've not flown this for a long time. You're getting in here totally at your own risk. Don't blame me. Unless you passengers briefed. Seatbelts, shoulder harnesses on, flaps are up, radios are off, circuit breakers are in, if I can remember where the circuit breakers are on the Comanche. Can hardly see a damn thing, actually. Oh, there they are. Of course they are, all under there. All electrical switches are off. Autopilot is off. Yeah. Okay. Fine. If I missed the battery here, let's go back to the pre-flight passenger seatbelts. Can't remember where the battery, all electrical switch is off. Okay, I'm going to put the rotating beacon on, but I don't see anything yet for the battery, but maybe that comes in a bit. I can't remember. Carb heat, where are you, carb heat? It's been a while. Yeah, carb heat is off. Fuel selectors to desired tank. Okay, let's. Don't know about you, I can hardly see a thing in this light. I'm putting both of those on. Okay. Gear switch is down. It is now. Okay. Again, just checking throttle mixture, master switch on. Okay, that's fine. So the battery comes on a bit later. So throttle is cracked, mixture is rich, prop is full, master switch is on. Hear everything winding up. Love that. Love that sound. An aircraft coming to life. Check gear lights is green. It is. Fuel pump. I know you're around here somewhere. Fuel pump. And let's check the pressure. Fuel pressure should be doing something. Yeah, we go. We've got fuel pressure. That's fine. Fuel pump off. Prime. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I'm going to remember to lock that once I've done it. Now, do you know what? Something that I've actually missed. Let's just hold it right there. No, let's leave that on. Let's pop the pitot switch on a second. We haven't done the walk around. Now, I do not know what features there are going to be in the Microsoft Flight Simulator version of this aircraft. I know nothing apart from the fact that they're going to be bringing it to the sim. It may not have walkarounds in it. It may have enhanced walkarounds. I have absolutely no idea. But one of the great features of the P3D version, also FSX version, is that we can do a walk around, which I should have done originally. So we're going to do that now. I've heated up the pitot switch. I'm just going to pop the master off, and then we're going to jump outside. There we go. Well, we're going to jump outside in a second. So this is our pre-flight inspection. So in the cabin, we've removed the bungee cord master switch we had on. We checked the, did we check the fuel? No, you didn't. Let's quickly check the fuel. Fuel is good. Fuel selector is both on. The master switch off, and the ignition is off. And flappage, we will now extend. There we go. Nice ka-thunk as that happens. Now we jump outside, and we want to have a look. That feels good. Have a quick look that we're not missing any nuts and bolts here, which would be rather embarrassing. Same over here. That looks good to me. Everything's looking good here. We've got nothing in the tip tank, so we don't need to worry about that. But that's where you check your tip tank fuel. Landing lights looking good. We've removed the tie downs. We've removed the chocks. Tires are looking good. We do a quick check of the fuel here, and it's looking a lovely colour. Lovely colour of fuel, that. And have a look at the fuel there. Yeah, that's looking good. No water in that or any nasties. And also our wheel is looking good. Propeller's looking rather sleek and rather nice. No complaints there. And we haven't got any birdies in here. Thank you. Check the oil dipstick here. Oil is good. I mean, you can see that from when we were doing the top-up screen, but this is actually where you're walking around the aircraft and do it, so it's quite good. As you can see, it's saying change the oil every 25 hours or 4 months, whichever comes first. Don't let your engine sit for a long period of time with dirty black oil, since acid forms and internally corrodes the engine. This corrosion is simulated in Accu-sim in real time, even when your computer's off, and that's the amazing thing about Accu-sim. When you park up your aircraft and walk away from your computer, your aircraft is kind of still there, and it's still aging. Again, these are all things that make it feel like your aircraft. Left wing, check for the fuel level. That's fine. Quick look under here. We've taken away the chock. We've taken away the tie down, and the tie is looking okay. Check the stall warner there, that's good. We've taken away the pitot tube cover, and press and hold. Yeah, it's cold because we heated up a while ago. If we quickly pop back in here, pop the master on, pitot heat's already on. If we now pop down to here, wrong one. There we go. Heated up, there you go. So that's heated up. So that's kind of what we're talking about there. Okay, so we've done that. Landing light on the left-hand side, or port as we say, is over there. That's fine. Don't need to do the tip tank because it's empty. Quick check of the old hinges. Everything's looking good there. Nothing's going to suddenly come off. Everything's nice and sturdy there. And all the flap linkages seem to be absolutely fine. Quick look, check the static source opening is clear. Round the back, make sure the tie down's gone. It has. Quick look at linkages. Everything looks great there. Everything looks okay there. And just check that sturdiness. Yeah, that's good. Back round here, and then we check and lock the baggage door there, and we're done. We've done a walk around. Now, sometimes things do go wrong, and that's again one of the great things about Accu-sim is that if you don't keep your wits about you, and certainly if you don't do walk arounds, you can suddenly be taking off, and all of a sudden you realise that you've got flaps stuck in a position, or one of the ailerons has become disconnected. So Accu-sim keeps you on your toes. It's one of the things that adds realism to it. Right. There you go. Before I was so rudely interrupted by my need to do a walk around, and the BBC just coming through there with a news flash, whatever that is. Right, so where we got to, we have done that, yep. So we've got the throttle cracked again, just check everything is where it should be. Yes, 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 yes. We checked the pressure, we primed the engine, mags to both, shout out the window, clear prop. Oh, beautiful. Check the oil pressure. Everything's good. Ammeter's good. Let's lean the mixture. Considering I've not flown this aircraft for a long time, she's running absolutely beautifully. No complaints there. Let's add the avionics on now. Engine note you can hear is just because I've just leaned it a little bit. Yeah, beautiful. Now I seem to remember, is that, yeah, that's the nav lights. Let's just quickly, yeah, that's on. Okay. Now we're not going to be worrying about ATC today. Let's go to the old Garmin on. Now I do want to set this to what is the EGTE? Can't remember. Is this one of those ones where you can? No, it's not. Oh yes it is. Do love it when you can type it in. There we go. Okay, so that's all nicely set up. Engine's running really sweet. That is really nice. Temperatures, everything's good there. Just let it warm up a little bit more. All temperatures is actually pretty good. It's running beautifully, running absolutely beautifully. Now, quick, there we go. Yeah, I just want to quickly check something. What was the note about RPM? Come back. Idle under RPM with a cold engine. Okay. Well, let's just bring it back a little bit. Right. So we've not really got any wind today, apart from the rubbish that's coming out my mouth. So we are going to taxi. Well, just thinking in terms of our route, but in terms of scenery. Yeah, we'll take 08. I'm just going to temporarily get rid of this. Just check the brakes. Yeah, brakes are all good. Bring the flap up now. Bit more mixture. Now, one of the things that I love about flying in P3D after spending time in Microsoft Flight Sim is that the ground handling in the simulator is just an absolute dream. You do not get that weird kind of GTA style jiggling around jumpiness that you get in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's absolutely smooth and realistic. And just feels so much better. It's one of the things that I always notice, you know, getting back into the simulator. It's one of the ironies, actually, flying the Mark 9 Spitfire in Microsoft Flight Simulator is harder than flying the arguably more realistic A2A Spitfire Mark 2 or Mark 1, simply because of the weird characteristics in Microsoft Flight Simulator mean that it really keeps you on your toes, and you're having to fight that kind of jittery behaviour. So it's quite an interesting aspect of it. So it's almost quite good for training, simply because of that fact. Okay, so before we enter the runway, let's just quickly flip on the, there we go, we're going to do a quick run up. So brakes are on hold, I've got those, fuel quantity is good, mixture I'm going to set to rich, throttle to 2000 RPM. Check the engine instruments. Everything is looking okay. We'll do a quick mag check. Let's do it. So we've got a bit more of a little bit more of a drop on the old right there, but was that the right one? No, that was the left one. Yeah, but otherwise not too bad. Quick cycle of the prop. RPM dropping there, which is good. It's good to see things like that. Slight rise in manifold pressure. There we go, that's our 3 prop cycles. And carpet. Slight rise in manifold pressure, then a drop in RPM. RPM going back up again. Okay. Right, let's just calm everything down now that we've done that. Quick check of the old controls. If I pop the control column in, there we go, that's all good. And we've got rudder moving, fine. Let's get back there. Door is latched. Flaps we're not going to use for this takeoff, and the trim is neutral. Yep, good. Okay, let's go. There's no AI around, so I'm not expecting to bump into anybody. Oh, I just love the ground handling in P3D. Really do. Okay, let's rotate. Gear up on the honeycomb, which gives us 1. So that's not enough, we need another 1. There we go. And now that we have our 1, let's try 1 on the honeycomb, and that gives us our 1 into the neutral position. Very interesting. So I must remember when I come to when we come to land, I must remember that, because otherwise I could end up very embarrassingly doing the old thinking I put the gear down when actually I haven't, and doing the old belly scrape. Okay, let's quickly check out the yeah. Check our power settings. So for climb we want 24 inches, 2,400, which is kind of where we are at the moment, so that's absolutely fine. And then once we're cruising, kind of looking at the same, although I probably will come back on the RPM a little bit. Quite happy to do a fast cruise for this flight. Now let's get rid of you, and yes, for those that are watching closely, I didn't put the strobes or the landing lights on. Very, very naughty boy. Is a beautiful aircraft. One of the things about this simulator is that whilst it might not look as pretty outside, although using True Earth GB here, it looks pretty good here in P3Dv5. The handling is very different. It's and it unfortunately it's very hard to convey on a video. It's very smooth, it's very fluid, and also you can I'm trying to think how I can describe it. In in Microsoft Flight Simulator, if I was to and it's interesting how I don't even want to do it in this simulator, you know, you can kind of whap the controls around and the aircraft will a little bit like GTA, I don't want to keep saying that, but it will kind of flick around as you move the controls. With P3D, and especially with A2A, you don't get that. You really can, for a simulator, you really can almost feel like this is a body going through air, and that there's real physics at work. And yeah, that's the only way I can really kind of describe it to you. It's a very different feeling to P3D, which is what adds to the realism. Just adding some trim here. doing here is quite lazy, just following a magenta line. This is fully equipped, and we will have a play with some of that. We've also got an autopilot. Just getting a little bit of turbulence up here. Let everything settle down a bit first. So, cruising nicely now. Very pleasant flight. I have to say, flying this, it makes you wonder why I don't fly it more often. I do love the V-tail Bonanza, there is no doubt, but this is a very special aircraft. Got lots of power, handles beautifully, and just bags of character in the cockpit here. Let's lean off a bit now. Switching the GT there. Oh, so we just started running a little bit rough there, so we'll just bring it back in a little bit more. So we're getting bobbed around a little bit up here, which just makes the flying a little bit more interesting. Otherwise, it's a pretty good day. Pretty good day. I'm not using the volumetric clouds in P3D at the moment. I seem to remember the last time I used them, it just, especially with active sky, which I'm actually not using at the moment, it just seemed a bit, don't know, didn't seem to be working properly, so I switched those off. And you know, these clouds don't look too bad really. This really is a gorgeous aircraft to fly. It's one of the frustrating things about videos is that sometimes it's hard to convey just how, I mean, you can see what it looks like, but you can't feel what it looks like. Feel what it looks like? What on earth am I waffling about now? You can't feel what it flies like. You can only kind of take my word for it, but I can tell you it's very different. It feels very real. Very tiny inputs. It's not flicking around all over the place. When it gets hit by turbulence, it gets hit by turbulence, but it's not jerking all over the shop. I'm actually looking forward to landing it. I'm actually looking forward to doing an approach in it, just to feel how that feels, because it has been so long. And I do wonder, and I'm very excited to see what it's going to be like in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I know that there are some people that feel that while they've got the Comanche and P3D, why get it in Microsoft Flight Simulator? And I understand that. I think for me, because I love the world in Microsoft Flight Simulator so much, I think it's a no-brainer for me that I'll get this and do a lot of GA flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator with it. It'll be interesting to see what features it comes over with as well. Will it have the same features? Will it have some improvements? At the end of the day, A2A are a very clever company. They make flight simulators for the military. They make flight simulators for commercial organisation, and we're just lucky as flight sim home hobbyists that they make stuff for us as well. So they're the pros, and I do have every faith in what they're going to do. And yes, I am a huge fan, and yes, in that sense, I am very biased. But it was A2A largely that got me back into flight simming. Much the same with Microsoft Flight Simulator. The default aircraft are never really there, and anyone who has flown Microsoft Flight Simulator and purely basing their experience of what it's like on the default aircraft is kind of not understanding the value of the add-on aircraft, and that's exactly what I did with FSX. I flew the default aircraft, was getting bored with it, wasn't really doing anything for me, and then I got the A2A Spitfire, and wow, it was like my world was just turned upside down, and suddenly this aircraft felt very real. And then I went out, I think it was then the Cessna 182 that I got, and that reminded me very much of when I did my real world flying training. I could feel so much in that I could when I was flying the real thing. And then of course I found Orbx, and then everything came together, and that's when I started getting into flight simming. So I've got a lot to thank A2A for, and I've actually got a lot to thank Orbx for. I can't conceive of flying a default aircraft over default terrain in FSX or P3D now, in the same way that in Microsoft Flight Simulator I don't really fly default aircraft in that either. Maybe the DA62 with the I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's kind of like a realism pack, isn't it? They've got a mod for that now. But this Comanche in P3D with the Orbx scenery is a whole new experience. And actually, to be fair, today with this weather, P3D is looking pretty good. You know, the True Earth scenery is kind of what it says on the tin. That's what the real world looks like down there. Much to say that Microsoft Flight Simulator, you know, covers the whole world with that really. But certainly for flying around the UK, the True Earth makes it very interesting and brings it all to life. Right, let's lose some altitude. Come back on the power a little bit. So where are we now in terms of, well, we've just, that's the East Devon area of natural beauty just over there. We're just going to start descending for Exeter now. We are a little bit high, just because I was enjoying cruising far too much. So we'll keep the descent coming in, keeping an eye on the EDT gauge, listening to the engine. We'll need to increase the mixture a little bit. There's Exeter on the nose now. I know, why don't we just cut down here? Let's cut down to Sidmouth a little bit while we descend. Just, there we go, just reset to the track IR there. How are we looking? Everything's good. Now we can come back round. Quick hello to Sidmouth, and then we'll head back north. We've lost a bit of height in that procedure. To lose a little bit more. We've got no wind down here. I'm going to feed in a bit of mixture, just enriching it a little bit. Keep the descent coming in. And by the way, if you want to see more P3D stuff, especially well, any of the A2A stuff really, Warbirds, the GA, you know, do leave a comment down below. I've not been in P3D for a while. Very conscious of that. Very conscious that a lot of the people that have been so good, so nice to support the channel, are fans of P3D. So I am always more than happy to do P3D videos, especially where it involves A2A. There's Exeter there. We can stop our descent. Now let's chop in all the mixture there, fully rich. Pop over the hill here. Try and maintain a safe height at all times. Okay, let's dangle the Dunlop. So we've already got the honeycomb switch all the way down. There's the gear horn warning, that's fine. Need to lose some speed. Trim, 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 trim. Speed coming down. Let's give that a... Come on, grab, there we go. Gear coming down. Do not fret gear horn. Let's have a notch of flaps in. Pull back. Trim, trim, trim. Oh, this feels beautiful. This isn't going to be the best landing in the world, by the way, folks. It's been a long time since I've landed this, but it does feel absolutely gorgeous. I think approach is one of my favourite aspects of flying. You're kind of bringing it in there. Flap all the way. Let's bring that. Oh, wrong way. There we go. So we've not got down and locked indicator. So we're going to do a go around. Let's have a quick look outside. So the gear is down, but we've not got, we didn't appear to have the green light, so always best to be safe. And we'll have another look at that. See what happened. It might just be in this kind of dim light that, or the lighting, that it didn't quite show up. So what I'm going to do this time, just to check that it's not something funny going on, we've still got a bit of flap in. Right, let's now go all the way with the, there we go. See what we got. Okay, green light is now on. And we've locked it. Okay, that's fine. So I think the gear light was probably on before. It's just that I couldn't be absolutely 100% sure. So I wanted to just double check. Safety first, folks. Right, let's have the landing lights on and the fuel pump on. Lovely, lovely aircraft to fly. Must remember I'm not flying a Spitfire. We're not going to do a kind of a curved warbird approach. We're going to do a nice, cultured, sedate GA style approach. None of you whacking it in and whacking it down here today, thank you. Air traffic control would not approve. Okay, let's come back a little bit on the power. Slow her up a little bit. Let's bring her around now. Just watching the speed because we're going to lose a bit of speed in the turn. Afford to keep bringing it round. Okay. So another quick check of everything. Everything is good. Come on, bring it round, boy. Going over the centre line a bit there. Okay, let's check, flap all the way. Now this is probably a good time to say I can't actually remember what the approach speed on this is, so I'm just going to do it by ear or by feel. More trim needed, I think. Trim is your friend. A nicely trimmed aircraft is so much easier to fly. Quick check down, everything's looking good. Trim. So bring some of that speed off a little bit more. Aim for that touchdown zone. There we go, we're down. And as you can see, as we roll down the runway, there's none of that kind of weird Microsoft Flight Simulator having to fight it and it's jinking all over the place. It's very smooth, nice realistic control. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Right, so we'll come off the active here. And let's bring the mixture back. Let's have the landing lights off and the strobe off. We didn't do it properly when we departed, we will do it properly as we land. For God's sake, boy, learn and remember. Actual recording of my instructor there. Okay, let's bring her over onto the grass, I think. Park her up just here. Okay. Brakes on. Let's have the parking brake on, and then I'll just quickly pull up the checklist. Because with an Accu-sim aircraft, you want to make sure you shut it down properly, because it will remember if you've been silly. Right, so flaps are up, fuel pump off, we've leaned the mixture, trim we set back to, oh no, it's up here, isn't it? Boom, 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 boom. Now the trim in the A2A aircraft is very precise, so I am like a hamster in a wheel turning my trim wheel on the honeycomb here just to get that to come back. The advantage of that is that you do have very precise control, but you can kind of tweak it a little bit, and if I'm honest, I probably want to tweak that a little bit so it doesn't take quite so many turns of the wheel. Right, radios we want off. Off you go, come on, behave. There we go. Mixture off. Master magnetos off. And master switch off. All electrical switches off. And there we go. You have survived a flight with me in the Comanche. And we're down. So, well, I hope you enjoyed that. I just thought, you know what, it's been a long time since I've been up in P3D. It would be nice to take the Comanche for a flight, and potentially this is going to be the first A2A aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator. For those of you that haven't flown P3D and flown the Comanche, it might be interesting for you to have a look at that. So, as I say, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the channel again soon. Bye bye now.